Do you think that people can operate and not really know that they're emotionally exhausted?
Yeah. And that is to me the downside of social media because we're seeing highlight reels. We're not seeing the whole of the person's life. No, it's a principle that you have to have a real downtime, whether it's 30 minutes or evening or something. You got to break away from work and helping people. Exercise, you run, I think that's good. You don't want an environment where you got to answer, you got to solve people's problems. So that's not helping you. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Moore, and this is How to Win. And I have my beautiful daughter here, my partner. And listen, we had a good break. June is normally our time when we take a month break on How to Win, but we back. It's July. It is hot. The summer has begun.
Yes.
And what are you up to, Tiffany?
Nothing. I started a new walking program at City Walk. So, at City Walk, if you guys are free, we walk at 6 p.m. on Mondays at City Walk. So,
Okay.
started that. And just been working, doing How to Win, trying to create ways to make the podcast more engaging and interesting.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I like a break. You introduced the break thing. Remember, I
Yeah.
was trying to go the whole year without
Did
stopping.
you fully get a break? Because you preached during it too.
Yeah, I preached. I preached 3 Sundays at a church.
Okay, so you were supposed to do
but
that.
preaching is not.
You were supposed to take a break when you scheduled a message.
Well, but we didn't do the How to Win.
Okay.
And
you're
then
mentoring.
We didn't do our mentoring meetings at Mike Moore Ministry, our team.
Okay, so you at the halfway point. How do you feel like it's going so far? Because I know in the beginning you was a little, unsure about how it would flow and all of that. Now how you
mean
feel
in terms of the mentoring program?
in the mentoring
Yeah,
program?
we started a 10-month mentoring program in January. And so we're in our halfway point. We got about 5 more months to go.
Yeah.
With it, and it's wonderful. I'm enjoying the pastors. I believe that they're learning and growing, and because that's my assignment now. God told me to expect to coach and mentor. So we started this mentor program. Our goal is to begin with pastors and then mentor leaders, and then I want to have a school of leadership. So,
What do you feel like you've learned about yourself as a mentor?
well, I've learned that there's no cutting formula. You know what I mean? Because you're talking about 10 pastors and their wives, 10 churches, and they're different sizes.
Yeah.
They have different needs at different places.
Yeah.
One ministry is kind of launching. Others are farther along. Others are really revamping some things and looking at some things. So it's very interesting. It requires the ministry of the Holy Spirit in partnership with the Holy Spirit. But I'm loving it because God is doing a lot of wonderful things in different churches across the country. And it's really wonderful. But I'm learning. I'm growing.
Yeah.
This is a new season for me.
Yeah.
And every new season, you grow. In
That's
fact,
good.
we need to do maybe a podcast on leadership
Okay. That sounds good.
and our growth. We can talk about growth because growth pushes you. You'll never grow outside. Inside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
If you're always doing things that you're comfortable with, you're never going to really grow. So I am growing. I'm utilizing things that I learned from pastoring for 40-some years. And it's like starting again. And
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
So speaking of growth, we're a little bit past the halfway mark. So the year has gone by really, really fast. I was talking to a person the other day and they were like, I'm not sick, I'm not depressed, but I'm just tired all the time. And I think for some people, with everything that's going on in the world or personal things, I feel that a lot of people can feel emotionally drained. And so the topic that I felt was important that we talked about today is why are so many people emotionally tired?
Right.
And so do you think people are emotionally tired? And if so, why do you feel like so many people are drained right
Yeah,
now?
I do. When I looked at the topic, because Tiffany, she chooses our topics, and I thought it was a great topic. Um, because when you hear emotional tiredness, that would be different. Because usually when people think about tiredness, they think about physically.
Yeah.
I've been working. I work double shift, or I work so many hours of the week, or I was out running and I got tired. You normally think physically, but emotionally, that's a whole different animal. And from a biblical standpoint, from a current standpoint, contemporary standpoint, people get emotionally tired. So what I thought about, you said why? You asked why do you think? Why do I think? I think it's a lot of reasons why. So when I thought about the lesson, I thought about what's going on in our environment. I thought about my own personal life. I've been emotionally tired, but I'm into words. I like
Yeah.
words. So when I think tired, I'm just tired. I think I think that something has accumulated. I think accumulation, tiredness. I'm just tired of dealing with this.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this relationship. I'm tired of this. And I think sometimes we have events, we have situations in our lives, and this is just one area. We have events, we have situations in our lives that are unresolved, repeated,
Yeah.
and accumulated over a period of time, and people just get tired. You tired of disappointment. I'm tired of this dysfunctional relationship. I'm tired of trying to get my kids on track. I'm tired of the pressure that I'm experiencing on my job. So sometimes, I think there are a lot of the reasons, but I think sometimes just the accumulation of unresolved or unsolved or unanswered events in your life.
Do you think that emotional exhaustion is different from stress, or do you think that they correlate in some way? Do you think that there's a difference?
I think there's a difference, but I think stress and the pressure. See, when you have pressure on you, then there's a level of stress that you experience. So I don't think that they're the same, but I think it is the pressure that produces the stress that produces the fatigue if something is not resolved.
Right. So I gave the example that someone said that they felt like they were tired, and they knew that they weren't depressed, but they just felt fatigued and tired. And I know that can show up in the physical form. But do you think that people can operate and not really know that they're emotionally exhausted?
Yeah. I think that's a part of the problem with emotional fatigue or emotional exhausted, that we feel it. I mean, you feel exhausted, but we are unaware of it.
Yeah.
You're unaware of it, and I think that's why just examining the different causes of the fatigue, emotional fatigue, will help us to become aware of it, because you can't deal with something that you're not aware of. And you said that you asked the question, do you think people know that they are? And I think people from a symptomatic situation, position or context, people know I'm just exhausted, but they're unaware of what is causing the exhaustion.
You mentioned a little bit about having a heavy workload or relationships. What are some other contributors do you think that can lead to emotional exhaustion?
Okay, I think I used the word a few minutes ago, pressure. Okay, so let's say accumulation of all this stuff happening, coming in different directions, can wear people out. Like different areas of my life, I'm struggling in different areas of my life. You can get tired because you start feeling overwhelmed. But pressure is, let's talk about economic pressure. And that brings us to what people are dealing with today. Economic pressure. Housing. Everybody need or want a house or somewhere to live, and the costs associated with it. Anytime you have a housing issue and you solve that, now you got a utility issue. And if you got kids, you got a child care issue. All these are financial. And then if you got debt, you got that economic issue. Then if you not making enough money on your job, and you got one, then that's another economic issue. So finances, the pressure of economics, the pressure of money, needing money, can wear people out. But I tell you something that I think we're unaware of, but that I don't want to deal with that deep one yet.
Okay.
But I think in a strange way, comparisons. And
you think that contributes to the emotional exhaustion?
Yeah. Oh, watch this. I think this is very subtle.
Okay.
Social media. Okay, when I was younger, there was no social media.
Right.
You didn't know what was happening in people's lives, except the people that was in your proximity, close proximity. But you didn't know what was going on all across you know what I mean? And social media, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
But it brings also challenges, because now you getting all these highlight reels.
Yeah.
You see, and I'm calling names, but I'm not speaking in a negative way. You see Beyonce and how she's living, and then you see these business icons, how they're living, and then you see this person, they traveling the globe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all these things, you see this person's house and this person's car and this person's career and and you sitting there in your corner of the world. And if you're not careful, you'll start feeling the pressure of trying to compete, although you don't think you are, but you're seeing what someone else has, where someone is going, what somebody is doing. And if you're not careful, you want to be like Mike. I mean, you want to be like so-and-so. And so even though you're not consciously trying to, we tend to naturally compare where we are with what we're seeing.
Right.
And that is, to me, the downside of social media, because we're seeing highlight reels. We're not seeing the whole of the person's life. We're seeing this person, because nobody is talking, man, I'm just struggling, and man, I couldn't pay my bills.
Yeah.
You don't see people talking like that.
Yeah. Okay, let me so I do think comparison is another thing. Let me throw another thing or another option or contributor. Let's talking about is meeting everyone else's expectations. So take you for an example.
think that's
When you
good.
first came into ministry, your parents or your mom had an expectation of you, what she thought you should do career
Wow, that's
wise.
good.
When
That's
you think
good.
about your wife or mom, she had an expectation from you as a husband. I want you to speak of it from two perspectives. Speak of it from the perspective of just trying to meet the expectations of everyone else, but also speak from it from a male's perspective. Because would you say that a male feels more pressure in that area? Because I think that women have a little bit more of leniency when it comes to their emotions. Usually, when you compare a man and a woman, you would see more people give grace more towards a woman when it comes to emotional awareness, whereas the men sometimes may not feel that they can have emotional exhaustion or they can express it in a sense, if that makes sense. So could you speak from those two perspectives? Because I was recently looking at a podcast and a man was saying, I think another man had gave him a praise and was like, "You doing good, brother." He was like, "I hadn't heard that in a while. Like just to hear you doing good, right?"
Well, I'm gonna throw it back on you.
Okay.
Because you brought up something, and then I can speak because we got another session on emotions too. Um, you brought up expectations, and that really hit me. Expound on that.
What do you mean? It's like what do I mean when I say
Yeah,
expectations?
you said Here's what I heard when you said expectations. I heard people's expectations, but we all have expectations.
Right. So I was asking you from two perspectives. So I was
Okay.
asking you from the perspective of just a normal world expectation. So for instance, people expect you to go to college, finish college, get a job afterwards, right? Some people may not expect you to not get a degree, but still be successful. You have the expectation of your timeline should look like this when it comes to certain things in life. So that's one
Right.
area. Other area I wanted you to talk about is the expectation as a husband or a father or just being a
man.
male in
Okay.
general. Yeah.
As a man in general, we're expected to lead, and we're expected to achieve, and we're expected to be an example, and we're expected to be a provider,
Yeah.
and we're expected to be successful.
Right.
And so, from a man perspective, you can feel so much pressure
Yeah.
because maybe I didn't have a role model from a leadership standpoint,
Right.
or maybe no one ever coached me or mentored me on how to be successful. So sometimes you can just not know what you're doing. You're a man and you can have these expectations, but nobody gave me a book on how to be a dad.
Right.
Nobody gave me a manual on how to be a husband. And so sometimes I feel sorry for us, guys, because we're being judged, but people don't know our history and they don't know our background. They don't know our challenges and our limitations and our weaknesses. So we're labeled as lazy or passive or all these different labels that, we're not compassionate, we're not whatever. But sometimes it's because we've never experienced that. We've never had somebody show me how to do this and how to live in real time. Maybe I didn't have a dad. Maybe I didn't have a dad in my life. Maybe my parents didn't have a good marriage. So now I'm walking into something that I have no knowledge about. They didn't teach it in my elementary school. They didn't teach it in my high school. They didn't teach it in my college. And so I think that word expectations can put pressure if it's connected to judgments. If you're going to judge me and I never had the tools to be able to do it. And Michael, you know, he began a series last month talking about walking in the Spirit.
Holy Spirit.
You know, and he was talking about how in Christ we became a new person, not a revised, improved old person, but a new person. And if we don't know who we are, then we'll live like somebody that we're not.
Right.
And what he was teaching last month was very powerful. And that's what I mean. If we had more information, I think we can deal. Because what men, you mentioned this, men don't feel comfortable communicating their weaknesses.
Yeah.
And their lack of knowledge. Like when I started pastoring, I didn't have a clue about what I was doing. Nobody had taught me how to be a pastor. I didn't know what was involved in being a pastor. So I thought if I live right, and I try to tell people the truth, and I didn't know much truth myself, then everything will be all right. But I didn't know anything about leadership.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. So sometimes the emotion, and that's why my days were so difficult emotionally, because I was discouraged, because I wanted to be successful, but I didn't know how to be successful.
Do you think that men do a great job in encouraging other men, or do you think that that's something that more men should do more of?
I think mature men should do more of it.
Okay.
Because if you're immature, it's kind of hard to encourage somebody else if you're trying to find your own way.
Gotcha.
So I think the responsibility is on mature leaders, and it doesn't have to be spiritual leaders, but it would be great if we got pastors and we got spiritual leaders who can share and coach and mentor. But really, to think about it, mentoring is the lost art in the church. I mean, people bringing people alongside and sharing with them what they know and helping them is a lost art in the church. And so, but it shouldn't be limited to church. It should be limited to, it should expound to, what are you good at? If it's carpentry, plumbing, electrical work, now can you share that with somebody else? If it's business, you're good in business, can you share that with somebody else, whatever it is?
Yeah. When you think of emotional exhaustion, I think a lot of people recognize it once they get to that breaking point. And then by that point, you know, sometimes it can be a little too late. What are some signs, or what are some ways for a person to recognize they may be emotionally exhausted?
The emotional side impacts you physically. If you're exhausted emotionally,
It can make you, like, for instance, it can make some people be more impatient when it comes to certain questions or things that they have to do, so they get frustrated or they snappy. Another thing can be like the relationships that they have with their significant others may have an impact, and they just can be rude in some cases. So those were some of the things that I was saying.
Yeah. Okay. And then I want to bounce back some to you.
Okay.
When you're emotionally tired, it impacts your relationships.
Right.
I don't care what kind of relationship it is, because a lot of times, impatient, you're irritable.
Yeah.
When you're short. You can be very short with people, but it's not like it's what's going on in what the relationship is, that you're tired. You know what I mean? You don't want to be bothered. But relationships are connections. And so you can be moody when you emotionally are exhausted. You can be irritable, short-tempered, impatient, angry. Sometimes when people are emotionally tired, they're quick to get angry, and they maximize issues or exaggerate issues that ain't really that deep.
Yeah.
You all upset about that, but when you're tired, you just don't have the attention span that you need, the empathy that you need to. In other words, when you emotionally exhausted, you're consumed about you, and it's hard for you to really navigate the relationship. That's true in leadership. Because I've been emotionally tired, I ain't want to talk to you.
That's what I was going to ask you, because you said that we should talk a little bit more about leadership. MK gave us a book, and I can't remember the name of it, but he gave us a book to read as a staff team about kind of being aware of where you are in an emotional state, because you can't really help others in the church if you are not yourself taking care of your own self. What impact as a leader does that have on the people who are under you? If you're in that case, can that hurt the people who are under you?
Yeah, you hurt people, but you're not trying to hurt people. But you can hurt people because you're tired. You don't want to be bothered. So then, if you're not careful, you start withdrawing. You're not as engaged. You're not as attentive to what's going on in your team's life or your followers' life and what they need, because you're consumed with your own fatigue. You don't want nothing else.
Yeah.
You don't want nothing else. And so, which leads to another issue. We're talking of sources. Dysfunctional relationships. Man, they can wear you out.
Right.
I mean, think about it. It could be a dating relationship. It could be a marital relationship. It can be a friendship. And if it's dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And even though you love the person, but it's dysfunctional.
Yeah.
It wears you out. It's not like work wearing you out. Physical fatigue, where it's mentally. It wears you out. And sometimes, watch this, sometimes people stay in things too long. They really do.
Yeah.
Because we emphasize, especially in church, hang in there, everything gonna be all right. Just hang in there, everything gonna be all right. Just hang in there, everything gonna be all right. And I'm not necessarily talking about divorce, but it may lead to divorce. Because after a while, how long am I supposed to deal with this? And I'll say, not long. Ain't that what Martin Luther King? Not long.
Yeah.
Not long. See, people, that emotional side can destroy your motivation. It can destroy your kids emotionally when they're in environments and it's dysfunctional over a long period of time. They get broken. The kids get broken. You get broken. And if it ends up just breaking up, you're no good. I mean, you have a broke person.
Yeah.
You are just, your kids broken because you didn't protect them. Maybe he or she wasn't slapping them or being But the emotional side of it is seeing that and hearing that and being a part of that environment. It breaks the kids emotionally.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it in the next episode because you brought it up a little bit, but there's a faith component that I think that is really important. You talked a little bit about it, but I do think that a lot of times we can be emotionally exhausted because we are trying to carry everything on our own. And as believers, we have the Holy Spirit. When he says, "And my yoke is easy, but my burdens are light."
Right.
And so if we have that mindset, the mentality that I have to carry everything on, because some people can get an emotional exhaustion because they feel they have to do everything on their own.
I got two more areas that I think we got to hit on, because maybe, just maybe, because we don't always know how these podcasts going to turn out.
Right.
Maybe, just maybe, an awareness is a key to the breakthrough from people.
Yeah.
Understanding, and so I give it two areas that I can think of. And it's related to social media, but it's not all that.
Okay.
It's the amount of information that we receive. I mean, we don't realize it, but we are constantly bombarded with information. I mean, just all the time.
Yeah.
And now we got cell phones, we got watches, and we got beep, beep, and we looking down. We can't even spend a moment
in quiet,
because we getting alerts, we getting emails, we getting texts.
Some people actually would get anxious if you tell them to just sit for 5 minutes and don't do nothing.
Right. And we get so conditioned for information. We watch television every 15 minutes.
Right.
They breaking with a commercial, and they giving us more information.
That's true.
And see, there was a time we didn't have all this information. People could sit down at a table.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the phones like that, and then they didn't have the watches talking and notifying, getting notifications and stuff like that, and alerts and stuff. And you watch people. I watch when I go to watch. I watch people because I notice they're just like this. And so what happens?
Yeah.
It overloads, this information overloads, so really people don't know what's happening. They want to know what's happening. And they just, I mean, and then the last thing I look at, and maybe we need to talk about how do we fix some of this? Okay. I think the way life is right now, man, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Uncertainty. Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know when you think about the economy.
Yeah.
People are very uncertain about, can I buy these groceries? If I buy these groceries, health care, if I get sick, what will I do?
Yeah.
Are we going? Are we going to be in a world war? People are thinking like that. And when the global world is shaky, the political world is shaky, the economic world is shaky, then the people get in fear.
Yeah.
You get in fear because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
Yeah.
And I think uncertainty wears on you because we like predictability. We like to feel like I know what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I think it's becoming increasingly difficult, to know what tomorrow looks like, which is a whole nother
topic.
Another topic.
I think one of the ways that you can help combat some of it, I think I was looking at a statistic not too long ago. They was talking about how women who they get together, they can reduce stress. I think some of it is the lost art of communication. Like when you were talking about how you all didn't have all of this stuff to keep you occupied, and you maybe like sat down at the dinner table and you talked about what was going on in your day and different things like that. So I think having a moment where you can get into an environment to even just talk about, like, people don't understand the importance of just getting in a space, whether it be in your small group or just with some girlfriends or some guys, just to say, hey, this is what's going on in my life. I think those are some of the things
I agree.
that can help you like
agree.
navigate some of the things. Because I know in my case, there's a group of girls and we're all singles, and we just say one thing and we be like, girl, oh my God, I was just thinking that the other day, or I felt this way. Or there may be moments or times where I don't know how to do something and I bring it into my friend group and they like, hey, you should go here and try this, or you should do this or do that. I think that there is a powerful moment of having a communication, whether it be a group of men, like I said, a group of parents, where you can just kind of talk about your day, and then also the freedom of not being judged in those environments as well.
Well, you know what? What's powerful about what you just said? Being connected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're different generations.
Yeah.
Your generation is whole different, my generation.
Mm-hmm.
And your generation is more fragmented than mine was.
Mm-hmm.
Because my generation, neighborhoods connected.
Yeah. Like even in just mama neighborhood, when we used to go to Kentucky all the time, like everybody would sit on the porch.
Right.
We'll walk up the streets. We'll talk. Everybody would stop at somebody's house and talk. Or later on in the afternoon, we go into somebody's house to play cards or doing something like that.
And not just that's a vacation at Pete, my wife's nickname, home in Kentucky.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Memorial Day, everybody coming. But remember, okay, watch this. Remember when we lived in Smithfield, not Smithfield Forest, but here in town at the little house.
Hatter Street. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the neighbors were connected. Mm-hmm. You knew the kids up the street.
Yeah.
Y'all playing the little circle.
Yeah.
You know, you knew your neighbors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was more, and then work was because everybody was coming in to work.
Yeah.
Then you develop community with your work people, and then you on baseball teams and basketball teams and stuff like that. Now you have some of that, but think about it. People work at home.
Oh my God. Listen,
okay.
I've been working at home lately, and I'm like, girl, you got to get out the house two or three times out of the week.
That's what I'm saying. We work at home, and then we do everything online.
Yeah.
And then we shop online.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's much more fragmented. Your world, which is my world now, is much more fragmented. Because a lot of times you don't know your neighbors and stuff like that, and people cross the street if you live in a community. A lot of times you don't even know.
Yeah, what's going on.
You have no connections, And so the downsides, you mentioned small groups. Mm-hmm. You mentioned getting connected in something. Don't you think that I almost got in another subject we were going to talk about relationship, but I ain't going to. Okay, so you gave a solution, and your solution was?
Just creating more ways to be able to communicate with others.
I think a solution was to establish real downtime. Mm-hmm. I mean, real downtime. And it doesn't have to be long gaps of time because life is so busy. Mm-hmm. But you have to have a time. If you're going to eat dinner, now, sometimes people's job, they're on 24 hours. I'm not talking about that. You got to be on call 24. I'm not talking about situations like that. But just ordinary. You ain't got to take your phone to the dinner table.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? I see people turn your notification off that watch. Sometimes you got to have real downtime.
Right.
Because really, to be honest with you, from a physiological standpoint, your brain need downtime. You need sleep. You need downtime.
Yeah.
You need exercise. For me, and it'll be different for everybody, because I'm always thinking how to solve somebody's problem. I really am. I really am always thinking how I can be better to solve somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
But life ain't just about solving somebody's problem.
Right.
People talk, even pastors, they talk about church all the time.
Yeah.
24/7. I don't like that. I mean, we don't talk, Peter and I don't talk about church all the time.
Right.
I mean, just all the time.
Right.
Everything is spiritual. Everything. Just have a time, if it's 15 minutes, where you take off put that phone. I started doing that as a pastor. I put my phone on silence.
Yeah.
Nobody could get to me.
Yeah, my first 2 hours, I have it on Do Not Disturb. And then from the hours of, I think I got it from 10 to 4, I have an app where I can't even get on my social media.
And give your brain time. For me, I like going to the movies. We don't go all the time. Now you got Netflix and y'all got all these different things at home. But see, even that, we're at home.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to get out and go to the movies, because when I'm at the movies, I got me some popcorn, watching this. I'm not thinking about nobody, because I turn my phone off. When we go on cruises, I do not. Once I get on that boat and that thing go up, I turn that phone off.
Right.
I don't. You can't get me on a cruise. You got to call the captain to the cruise. Hey,
Right.
You are not going to get me.
Right.
So when I get back in the airport and get ready to come back home or whatever, then I turn the phone back on. A lot of people be working on the cruise.
Right, on their vacation.
They be working on their vacation. That's not a vacation if you're working on your vacation. And see, a lot of people don't realize there's the cumulative impact of never giving your brain downtime. There's a cumulative effect, and some people call it burnout. Sometimes it may not impact you until you 60. It may not impact you until you 70. It may
a prolonged result.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Never see that work, Sabbath rest. God instituted that because we needed downtime.
Right.
We don't need to be thinking, and people go home and they thinking about it. They go to sleep, they thinking about it.
Yeah.
They wake up, they thinking about it. On vacations, they don't take a vacation, or they work on their vacation.
Yeah.
They go on a cruise, but they got their laptops and they doing this and they doing that. And it's really it's disorder.
Yeah.
God, 6 days he worked, 7 days he rested. That was a Sabbath rest, but it's a principle. It's not like you got to work 6 days. No, it's a principle that you have to have a real downtime, whether it's 30 minutes or evening or something. You got to break away from work and helping people.
Yeah.
Exercise, you run. I think that's good.
Yeah. It's a great
Do you
stress.
be solving problems while you're running?
I be trying to breathe and make sure I can get back to where I went, because I done went far. So I be trying to get back.
It's two things going when you run. You are not dealing with demands, work, relationships, all that. You ain't dealing with that. And you're exercising, so you're moving your body.
Yeah, mine is just I have to be aware, because I run outside, so I have to be aware of what's going on around me, so you really can't. It's funny that you talked about the Sabbath. I just listened to a sermon, and I think the sermon title was Sit Down Somewhere.
That's a
So
good.
maybe some of y'all need to sit down
Hey,
somewhere.
that's a good title. Just sit down somewhere.
Right before we get ready to close, you said earlier that some of the podcasts may just be a way for people to get awareness that they may be emotionally exhausted. As we come to a close, is there anything, if a person is saying, okay, maybe that is me, I see myself in this conversation, what would be the first step that you would tell them to do?
I would say meditate on the different. Let's review a little bit.
Okay.
We talked about the accumulation of events and situations over a period of time, how that can produce that. Then you talked about expectations. We talked about expectations, people expectations, our own expectations,
Right.
how it can produce the stress. And then we talked about economic pressures, housing, car notes, job, insurance, healthcare, all these economic things. And then we talked about comparisons. You know how on social media we're seeing highlight reels and stuff like that. And if we're not careful, we're trying to be like Mike or be like somebody else, and then we criticizing ourselves for not being like them.
Right.
And then we talked about uncertainty. You know, just not being sure. You know what I mean? And then we talked about dysfunctional relationships. So what I hope people can see is becoming aware of all these components working together to drain us. So what can we do now to interrupt some of these things? You talked about, we talked about exercise. I talked about a real downtime.
Yeah.
You said something else, right?
Oh, communicate, being in a communicate, well, like in an environment of to be able to communicate.
And that environment where you're being supported and stuff like that. You don't want an environment where you got to you got to solve people's problems.
Yeah.
So that's not helping you.
Yeah.
So exercise, real downtime, and just asking. You mentioned this, and we'll talk about it maybe in our next session, about asking the Holy Spirit to help you.
Yeah.
Would prioritizing be important too?
Prioritizing what?
Well, you know, I used to say, and we out of time, ain't we? But I used to say, I need a crop in every field. You know, there were so many things coming at me, from marriage to finances to health and ministry and stuff. I just felt like overwhelmed. I think sometimes you have to prioritize. You can't do everything at one time.
Gotcha. Okay.
You got to focus on something. You know, you got to focus on something.
Yeah.
And maybe getting some traction in one area can give a boost.
Yeah.
Give you a boost.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was struggling so financially, I just focused on finances. I read things on finances, prayed about finances and all that. Then I had some marital issues. You got to read books on marriage, get counseling on marriage. You know, you got to do something and not try to solve everything, because it overwhelms you.
Yeah. So we mentioned it a little bit earlier. We talked about in the next episode, we're going to be talking about faith and emotions and how those two coexist with each other. So be sure to stay tuned to next week, because we'll be talking a little bit more about that. If these topics have been impactful, we always say you may not get everything, because these sessions are long, so you may not get everything listening to the first time, but go back. If there's a part of it that you felt like, I need to listen to this again, go back and listen to that. And then also, we love to have you as a part of our family, so please be sure to subscribe to our channel. And we'll see y'all next time.
And I would say this: if this brought up some questions in your mind, they can always put questions.
Yeah,
in
you
the
can
chat.
always leave questions in the comments, or you
Okay.
can email us.
And then we can always throw answers in some of these other sessions that we do.
Absolutely.
All
Good
right.
point. All right. See you all next time.